Imagine this. You're watching The Late Show on a quiet evening, coffee in hand, when Tom Cruise walks on stage. The man's a Hollywood legend, right? Charming, confident, the kind of movie star you've seen for decades. He's there to promote his latest film, smiling like he always does. But then Stephen Colbert asks him a casual question about podcasts. Without missing a beat, Tom leans in and says something that instantly changes the mood. I tried listening to Meghan Markle's confessions of a female founder. Had to eject faster than in Top Gun. The audience roars with laughter. The cameras catch Colbert raising his eyebrows. But behind the humor, that one little joke hits like a thunderclap. Within hours, it's everywhere on Facebook, in the news, across YouTube, and suddenly Meghan's already struggling podcast is under a spotlight she did not want. Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on exactly what happened next. The Hollywood whispers, the industry backlash, and why one quick punchline from a movie icon might have just done more damage to Meghan's brand than any critic ever could. So stay with us, because if you think this was just a harmless joke, you might be shocked at what came after. Picture this, Tom Cruise. Yes, that Tom Cruise struts onto the Late Show stage with that movie star swagger and trademark grin. He's there to hype his new blockbuster, shake a few hands, flash that million-dollar smile. Everything's going according to script, until Stephen Colbert drops an unexpected question. So, heard any good podcasts lately? Cruise chuckles, leans in, and drops the bomb. I tried listening to Confessions of a Female Founder, had to eject faster than in Top Gun. Boom! The crowd erupts. Laughter rolls across the studio like a wave. But this wasn't just a throwaway gag. It was a missile aimed squarely at Meghan Markle's already shaky media brand. See, Meghan's podcast had just launched with a massive promo push, glossy trailers, PR blitz, all dressed up as a platform for female empowerment. She positioned herself as a fearless champion for women entrepreneurs, a modern mogul redefining success. But Tom's joke, it cut through that carefully polished image in 5 seconds flat. Why? Because Confessions of a Female Founder didn't feel like empowerment, it felt like a self-indulgent monologue. The show wasn't shining a spotlight on diverse female voices. It was circling endlessly around Meghan's own narrative, her struggles, her reinvention, her battle against adversity, all from the comfort of a Montecito estate. Instead of raw, relatable stories, listeners got something that sounded like a corporate TED Talk, delivered by someone who just discovered LinkedIn. Critics noticed, and they weren't kind. NPR called it emotionally manipulative. The Guardian said it felt like therapy disguised as activism. Even once supportive outlets like The Cut and Bustle quietly stepped back. One blogger nailed it. If Meghan is a female founder, then I'm a female astronaut. That's why Tom's jab landed with sniper precision. Beneath all the production polish and buzzwords like resilience and empowerment, the podcast lacked authenticity. And in the world of podcasting, authenticity isn't optional, it's the currency. Behind closed doors, sources say Meghan was livid, blindsided. This was supposed to be her Joe Rogan moment, a cultural breakout. Instead, it became meme fodder. Worse still, the allies she counted on, feminist icons, cultural leaders, went silent. Gloria Steinem, once a name Meghan eagerly dropped in interviews, told MSNBC feminism isn't a performance. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, whom Meghan used to praise as an inspiration, was even more cutting. Asked about celebrity influence on feminism, she simply said, "Some confuse attention with impact." Ouch. This wasn't just a bad review. It was a reputational nosedive. Hollywood insiders started asking the real question, did Meghan understand podcasting at all? Good podcasts aren't sterile PR machines, they're messy, vulnerable, and human. Confessions was none of those things. It was scripted, controlled, and worst of all, boring. And let's be honest, when Tom Cruise, a man famous for doing death-defying stunts, calls you boring on national television, that's not just shade, that's a career cold front. So here's the question for you. Was Tom just being cheeky? Or did he say what millions were already thinking? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And hey, If you love hearing Hollywood's unfiltered moments like this, make sure you hit subscribe, tap that notification bell, and join the conversation. You never know whose ego might get shot down next. The fallout didn't end on The Late Show. Within hours, Tom Cruise's jab was everywhere, cut into short clips, plastered with captions, turned into reaction memes. Social media lit up like Times Square on New Year's Eve. The hashtags trended. Comment sections split into two camps, those laughing so hard they had tears in their eyes, and those cringing at the secondhand embarrassment. And here's the thing. Hollywood insiders weren't surprised. They'd been whispering the same criticism for months. Meghan's podcast wasn't just underwhelming, it was a warning. A warning that the self-styled Empress of Empowerment might not only have no clothes, but no audience. This wasn't her first stumble either. Remember Archetypes on Spotify? That was supposed to be the game-changer A-list guests, a multi-million-dollar contract, and a marketing blitz big enough to light up Times Square. The result? Listeners bailed, critics rolled their eyes, and even Spotify execs quietly backed away. When the dust settled, the streaming giant cut ties, entirely citing in corporate speak a failure to meet basic productivity benchmarks. Translation: we paid millions for not much in return. Now, Netflix was feeling the squeeze. After gambling on With Love Meghan, a docu-series reality hybrid that landed with more of a whimper than a bang, they had hoped the podcast might revive her brand. Instead, it became an anchor, dragging everything else down. Behind closed doors, producers started pivoting towards safer bets like Reese Witherspoon's Hello Sunshine, strong storytelling, emotional depth, and importantly, no media circus. Compared to that, Meghan's projects began to look like glittery paperweights, shiny from afar, but ultimately useless. The whispers got louder. Some Netflix execs allegedly started reworking pitches to quietly sideline her future projects. One insider reportedly called her work a never-ending lecture. Another was more blunt. She wants Oprah-level credibility without Oprah-level work. And that's the heart of it. Meghan's brand was built on the power of storytelling, but her stories felt overly curated, stripped of vulnerability and padded with buzzwords. No edge, no rawness, just a constant loop of victimhood narratives. Then came the real blow. Her personal network began to shrink. Oprah? Yes, the Oprah who gave Meghan and Harry the explosive post-royal interview reportedly stepped back. Sources close to Harpo Productions say she wasn't willing to risk her own reputation on another Meghan venture after the backlash. She'd given them the platform once. She wasn't signing up to play cleanup crew again. Tyler Perry, the man who literally gave them a mansion when they left the UK, went quiet. No public shout-outs, no friendly social media mentions. And Ellen DeGeneres. She once praised Meghan as a fresh, real voice. Now eagle-eyed fans noticed she unfollowed Meghan altogether. A tiny action, but in Hollywood silence is deafening. And then came the most brutal sign of all. Beyoncé's team reportedly turned down a quiet collaboration request from Archewell. The reason, according to an insider speaking to Variety, they don't want the drama. Meghan's brand is too high risk right now. When even Beyoncé's camp, famously cautious but open to power partnerships, won't touch your content, the red flags aren't just waving, they're doing somersaults. At this point, it wasn't about one failed podcast. It was about trust, about credibility. Meghan had spent years crafting an image of resilience and empowerment, but the moment the public saw cracks, the whole house of cards came tumbling down. Here's the truth: audiences can accept struggle if it's real. They can connect with pain if it's honest. But when every story feels like it's been run through a PR filter, people tune out. And once they've tuned out, pulling them back in is almost impossible, especially when Hollywood has already moved on to the next shiny thing. So what do you think? Was Tom's dig just playful banter, or was he saying what everyone was already thinking? Drop your take in the comments, and if you love getting the unfiltered truth behind Hollywood headlines, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join the conversation. You never know whose empire might crumble next. Everywhere Meghan looked, the walls were closing in. Her podcast was tanking, her support system was evaporating, and even her once loyal audience was quietly walking away. The sting wasn't just in the backlash, it was in the gut-punch realization that her carefully crafted narrative, the one she'd spent years polishing, had stopped working. The emotional speeches, the dramatic pauses, the empowerment buzzwords, they no longer hit. People weren't just skeptical anymore, they were finished. Even feminist media, once her safe zone, turned cold. NPR's culture desk called Confessions of a Female Founder narratively hollow. One feminist blogger didn't mince words. "This isn't female leadership, it's brand therapy." Harsh, yes, but hard to argue with. For all the talk of empowerment and lifting up women, the episodes rarely featured fresh, diverse voices. Instead, they were filled with hand-picked friends and high-profile allies, offering little more than soft compliments and safe platitudes. No real conflict, no challenge, no tension, just a polished, cushioned space designed to keep Meghan at the center. Even critics who wanted to root for her struggled to defend the content. Kristen Netton, a Forbes tech contributor, summed it up with a single viral line: "You can't market authenticity. You either have it or you don't." Industry Slack groups lit up. Producers quoted it in meetings. Executives dropped it into calls. The verdict was in: Meghan had built her media brand on personal storytelling, but forgot that great stories require risk, vulnerability, and truth, not just carefully packaged trauma and Montecito metaphors. And the numbers proved it. The show never cracked the top 100 charts in any major market, not on Spotify, not on Apple Podcasts, not even in the UK or Canada. In the US, it briefly hit the top 10 during launch week, but that spike seemed fueled by curiosity, not loyalty. Listener drop-off rates were brutal, reviews tanked, engagement flatlined. Behind the scenes, industry experts picked apart the failure. One NPR podcast consultant told the Wall Street Journal, "There's no editorial spine to this show. No point of view. It sounds like something made in a vacuum, no notes, no resistance, no structure." That vacuum was Meghan's doing. She insisted on full creative control, refused editorial pushback, and locked the process inside her personal bubble. Staffers reportedly burned out under endless approval chains and rewrites. Attempts to pivot were shut down. As criticism mounted, Meghan didn't loosen her grip, she tightened it. But that only pushed her further from the audience she claimed to represent. Netflix noticed. Quietly, future Archewell projects were put on ice. Budgets shrank, meetings were skipped. The streamer began actively shopping other female founder stories, from Reese Witherspoon and Issa Rae to unknown entrepreneurs with more compelling narratives. Meghan wasn't just being critiqued, she was being replaced. Hollywood doesn't hand out second chances easily. Once the aura of authenticity is gone, winning back trust is nearly impossible. Meghan didn't just lose the room, she lost the spotlight. When even her closest allies stop returning calls, when the memes about you stop being funny and start feeling sad, you know it's over. That's where she is now. The lights are dim. The microphones are silent. The grand comeback didn't crash in flames, it simply faded into nothing. In its place, silence. Not applause, not outrage. Just the quiet sound of an audience and an industry moving on. So here's my question to you. Is this truly the end for Meghan's media career, or could she pull off a reinvention? Tell me in the comments, I'm curious where you stand. And if you want the real behind-the-scenes Hollywood stories, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join the discussion. You never know whose empire we'll be talking about next. But here's the thing about Hollywood: careers don't always die quietly. Sometimes the has-been narrative flips overnight, sparked by a single viral moment, an unexpected cameo, or a partnership nobody saw coming. And if there's one thing Meghan has proven, it's that she understands the art of re-entry. Insiders say she's already exploring a pivot, not to another preachy podcast or overproduced docuseries, but to something entirely different. A live, unscripted format where she'd have to drop the safety net and actually engage in unfiltered conversations. Think Town Hall meets Celebrity Roundtable, streamed directly to audiences without weeks of PR massaging. The gamble. It could either humanize her in ways polished productions never did, or expose the very vulnerability she's spent years controlling.